We completed our citywide sweep, and I'm preparing a summary and a more detailed explanation of it. I did want you to know there was 433 properties that had some type of violation, and there were 98 abandoned properties under our review, which is a little down from last year. Which leaves 335 other properties with just code violations, code issues. We already sent the letter to the PPA and the finance director as required by the ordinance. This year I'm going to send a courtesy notice to the owners, let them know that they're on the list, that they talk to me if they feel we're incorrect before the appeal period ends, so they can talk to us and then we can tell them we appealed it, or yeah, you're right, I didn't know that, I didn't correct it. And that's my report.
Is the list on the website?
No, not yet. Would you like it on the list?
What do you think?
I think everything's
Would
good.
there be a benefit to that?
The abandoned properties we're talking about.
Abandoned property.
Or
Never really put any public information on the website.
I'm not, that's fine.
Consensus is, they're not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Chief Fawcett?
Just two quick things. The last group of recruited firefighters, the commission approved, started last week. If you recall, you approved a total of 7 to fill our vacancies. One of those declined and accepted a job elsewhere. So we hired 6, which exhausts our current eligibility list. So just want to give you the heads up that we plan on mid-month January to start advertising to take applications for firefighting groups. Then we'll start testing for that, I believe, in February. Through that whole process, as you know, it's pretty lengthy. It'll take us to about May probably to get another active list in place. At which time I expect to probably have 2 more retirements between now and May. So we're keeping the process going.
Thank you.
Any others? Department heads I missed? Mr. Scout?
You'll hear more from me later.
We have an agreement with Republic Services for disposal of our biosolids that can't be land farmed to go to the landfill. That expired at the end of December, and it needs a proper signature for legalists, and I'd like to add that as on the consent to get approval for the commission to approve that.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll be back.
Mayor, that concludes the report.
Okay, we're down to old business. Does anyone have any old business to bring up this evening? Commissioner Wilder.
Before I get into one piece of old business, I see we have a number of friends from the county here. Are you all here to discuss two things? Are you all here to discuss stormwater and?
We just come to us about stormwater.
Okay. Because if you all are here to discuss, if you all are here for the last item on our agenda, I'd be supporting moving it up.
What's the last item on your agenda?
Closed session to discuss property.
Is it a property we discussed in the past?
I reckon so. I don't even know that we need to go. Okay, this is a different property discussion.
We're here informally invited to hear the presentation about stormwater.
Okay, great. Well then, as a piece of old business, I'll just say I think we should, and then we've already discussed this publicly, so the cat's out of the bag. But I'd be in favor of us continuing to discuss the possibility of a partnership with the county and the fiscal court regarding parking downtown. That doesn't need to happen today, but that's a conversation that I think we should pick up. If the county still wants to hold that
We
conversation.
would love to have a decision from the city of how your thought process is moving forward.
Okay, great. Well, as per, I'll just go ahead and get this on the record then. As per our previous discussions on this subject, if we can't find a private investor for the parking garage downtown, I'll tell you straight up that I would be in favor of working with the county to find a solution. That's just my 2 cents. I don't know, I think that was the express will of the commission a while ago. I don't know if that's changed or not. The piece of old business I was actually gonna bring up is, the question about parking on St. Clair. I just see we have a couple of folks here who have spoken to that issue at previous meetings. We have Britton Skinner, in particular. I don't know if y'all have anything you want to.
No, I mean, we sent the letter to the commission and I was just present to.
If you want to have, hit come pick seat.
So I was just asking if you wanted to say anything. You're on the record saying anything.
You're not committed to do that.
I was just gonna say that we sent a letter with the board's recommendation, and I was just here to watch the questions. Thank you, though.
Always good to have you. That's all I got for old business then.
You want to have something? Yeah, about new business. Commissioner Hidden.
I sent an email out earlier, I don't know if you got that there. There's a local citizen who said she'd be willing to work with us in regard to a wellness plan. I didn't know if we could maybe add that. I could maybe invite her in. I don't know if the proper thing is just get Fred in touch with her and Randy. Maybe invite her in for a work session and see what she can do.
When I read that, I think we've had some conversations with,
Our HR director and myself have met with representatives from Wells Fargo, who's our insurance broker, about some possible options for some wellness plans. Of course, no decision has been made. So, Randy, would you like to say more about that? Want to come up here, please?
We've had, probably in the last year and a half, 3, 4 sessions with our insurance folks about how you get wellness programs started and the range of differences. I mean, they can be as different as night and day. You know, there's different organizations, different insurers, different employers do pretty radically different things. Some of them just do communications things. Some of them do health risk assessments. Some of them tie premiums to participation. And there's a lot of different ways to get into this wellness idea. I think we know that we need to figure out a way to get in there. It's just hard to figure out how to do it. I think it's pretty much going to have to be outsourced. I don't think Tammy or I have the time available to spend a lot of time doing wellness initiatives. I mean, we're both stretched pretty thin, doing all the things that we're doing. Fred and I talked about maybe having Wells Fargo come to a work session and do some education with you guys and talk about the range of different things that they've seen work. And after that presentation, you all could give Fred and myself a little bit of feedback, and we could start, whittling down, I think, what level of participation we want to jump in at. Like I say, they can range from just a little bit to something that's going to be extremely involved. We could probably get Wells to make a presentation at the work session.
The email that I just read a while ago, the genesis of this is from someone that sent you an email suggesting that they could help to provide some type of consultation, but it mentioned here that it's too, a little too time intensive to organize and manage the competition like for a program
Yeah, Fred,
for free. And so that, when you said for free, it made me think, is this someone, individual provider that's trying to get a contract with the city? Ultimately,
I don't know.
is, I think, that's, to me, I don't know how this you feel, I'm for wellness and physical fitness, but it seems to me, so the approach that city manager had with them, maybe come and get a presentation from the people we're already dealing with, Wells Fargo, in our insurance.
In my opinion, from what I've heard, seems to be beneficial if the people you're dealing with have access to your medical cost. And so, to me, it makes some sense to involve Wells Fargo. They're the keeper of the data, they pay the claims, they probably have access to statistics regarding what diseases are in our population of participants, and could probably make some pretty good recommendations so that we apply our dollars in places where it makes sense, as opposed to just a shotgun approach where we throw a generic program out there. I think you kind of got to focus. I mean, the intent of all the wellness thing is to identify big claims before they happen and prevent them. The way you do that is by educating and physical fitness and that with your population under your health plan. So I think a targeted approach makes some sense. But there's, like I say, there's lots of ways to get in that game, I think.
Mr. Bowens.
Of course, we've been working on this and we haven't had an opportunity to present it. But the thing that was stressed to us was the importance of doing a baseline with as many staff as we voluntarily take part in. I don't think we force people to take part in it, but after you get the program started, other people who were reluctant to be a part of it see the value of it, and they tend to join it. But it was explained to us that the baseline would be a health status assessment, which is a one-on-one service, which would more or less assess the lifestyles and the present status of a person's health, including, the existence of chronic diseases. And chronic diseases, I think, are the main reason for hospitalization. So if you can case manage these chronic diseases, then you reduce the number of hospitalizations, thus having happier employees who miss fewer days and having fewer hospitalization costs. So that's where we were headed, but we didn't know to what degree, what level of program we could pay for. But there's a very basic level, which would be the health status assessments. And then you can blend in additional things based on the findings.
One of the last presentations that they made to us was actually, they had a couple of clients that had tried to set up in-house clinics with a physician's assistant. So, it worked for them. Now, they were a little bit bigger than us, so that, Fred and I had a lot of conversations about, do you try to partner? Do you try to just do a part-time clinic instead of a full-time clinic? But there's, like I said, there's really a volume of information and a lot of options in designing something like this. And like I said, I think it's going to have to come from outside. We're kind of in the HR where we have to deal with the health plan, so I feel like a lot of times I'm really watching that gray area and trying not to go too far as getting into employee health issues. because if I'm involved in promotional or other decisions and I'm privy to that protected health information, then it creates a bit of a conflict of interest or some confidentiality questions. And so, I think that we need to do something. I think it's a matter of finding what's a good fit for our employee group and determining how do we incentivize it in such a way to get participation and results.
Okay, when this one comes up.
I would just say that I think that working with the insurance company to tailor a specific wellness plan, at least in my experience, I don't deal with health insurance really at all, but seems to work when it's implemented. However, I think any ideas that we can get and any conversations that we can have is always beneficial. So I wouldn't be against hearing. I don't remember the person's name, but I don't think it would hurt us to hear if he or she had anything to offer, any new insights or thoughts.
I think we
Put it on your suggestion to do that prior to having Wells Fargo or
My suggestion, my recommendation would be, as we're getting prepared to have a Wells Fargo presentation for maybe Randy or the city manager to discuss this with that person.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I think that's very well.
Let's give a chance to offer.
Do we have a time frame or anything? I think we've been talking about this.
No, let me ask, let me straight down, because of my hearing loss, sometimes things go by me. All right, now you're suggesting what? That this person, they will contact Commissioner Hedden, to have that person come here? Or after?
Have Fred and Randy maybe set up some time where they can meet with her and see
Or
what she has to offer.
individually, okay, but not as a commission.
And if they like what she has to hear, then we can bring it into maybe a work session.
Yeah. That's the problem with that. It seems to me the most prudent thing is to utilize the company we have and to see what they offer. And of course you make comparison, but.
As far as timeline, we've kind of talked about trying to tie something into 2013. Of course, we're in that transitionary period, if y'all remember, where we were going from fiscal year to calendar year, so that our health plan matches up with the IRS, FSAs and HRAs and all that. And so for 2012, we didn't make any changes. We made those changes in July. We probably are going to be coming with a pretty full package of, I suspect Wells Fargo will have another list of recommendations to move closer yet to where the market is on health insurance and what other employers are doing. And I don't want, they're really two separate things, but if we're going to do it and we're going to set some incentives, we can do it when we're talking about rates for 2013. And maybe setting up some incentives for people that participate at certain levels or something. So, obviously, that would be, this coming 8 months or so. Well, we need to know if we're going to have open enrollment in October, we'll need to kind of be locked down on what we're going to do by August, so we can start preparing materials and doing that kind of thing. So, as far as the work session goes, I don't know about how far you all want to push that or what you got queued up for that. That may be something that comes up later. We could look at getting them in February, or we could look at getting them in March, I think. They're probably available either time frame if we're going to give them some notice. And they may bring a specialist in from, I know that they had a lady out in Cincinnati that was doing a lot of wellness programs that they've had to come down and meet with us before.
That's the question that I most like to see us answer. Yes. The time frame and when we're going to take the next step, at least we have that information.
If the commission, I know you're going to talk about priorities later on in the meeting, but if you want to make this one of your priorities, we can, you just write up and do it. It's just a matter of when you want.
Happy to talk about this in February, if folks want to wait till March, that's fine.
Either date's fine with me. I think this is a priority area because it is, the quicker you get into the wellness game, the better off you are in terms of long-term health insurance premiums. And that's a major driving force for our budget, so I'm not against the sooner the better, is fine with me.
I'll look into that and see if we can line up for February.
Okay, two other new business. Commissioner Wilder.
This is real small, I don't want to take up much time before we got folks waiting. But there's a stoplight downtown, corner of Ann and Broadway, pretty notorious stoplight. I guess I have to confess, I'm still a little unclear as to who exactly is responsible for what when it comes to these state intersections and the stoplights in them. But that's a stoplight, I mean, lots of folks run that stoplight, and it's hard to fault them, because you can sit for up to 10 minutes or something without it changing. Is that anything we can address, or is that something we need to take up with the state?
We call the state highway department if there's trouble with the light.
Can we call them about that one?
Dispatch. I can notify dispatch and have them say it's Ann and Broadway.
Ann and Broadway.
All right, I'll make a note of it.
Thank you.
Any other new business? Okay, now we're down to discussion items. Mr. Gomez.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the priorities the city of Frankfort has had for quite a while is to study the possibility of a stormwater utility, and we've expressed our intention, if we can, to work with the county with this, and we appreciate their interest and involvement up to this point. Mr. Scout has prepared a program tonight, and so we'll take it away.
Coach, I'd be back. Just to set a little background, as you all remember, several months ago, you asked me if the sewer department would look into the feasibility. We've done that. We issued a request for qualifications first week of October. Statements of qualifications were received on the 20th of October. We received 6. The one we're going to talk about tonight is the one you're getting. If you want copies of all the others, I can get it for you. It's not the most riveting reading, but it is available if you want it. The process, Mr. Hewitt, who's with the county, Jeff Hackbart, Tom Bradley, and myself reviewed all 6 statements of qualifications. We had 2 firms that we felt kind of rose to the top. The 4 of us with purchasing interviewed those 2 top firms, and the top firm is sitting to my immediate right. This is Steve McKinley. He's with URS. That's the statement of qualifications that you've got in front of you. To his right is John D'Amico. He's with ERC. ERC is a subconsultant to URS, but obviously a very critical subconsultant. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve. He's going to talk to you a little bit about where we go next, and then turn it back to me, and I'll kind of wrap things up, Steve.
First of all, let me just tell you a little bit about myself and John and our relationship. I'm with URS Corporation. I'm Vice President and Director of Water Resources. We're a very large firm, but what's important to you is we have an office of about 20 people in water resources in Louisville, Kentucky. That's our local office. I've been doing this for a lot of years. John is with John is with Environmental Rate Consultants, ERC. We have been working together for about 20 years doing these things. Our first utility that we did was actually the Louisville utility, Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville, Jefferson County. We've also done utilities in Oldham County, Bowling Green. I'm trying to think of ones around here that you would know. We did the Cincinnati and Hamilton County stormwater utility. But we've probably done close to 50 of these across the nation. So we have a lot of experience with this, and we've been working together for a very long time. The key to this is I represent kind of the engineering end of this, which is one part of a stormwater utility. John and his firm is a financial firm, and one of the important things that we stress is this is as much a financial project as it is an engineering project, and both of them are important. The way we like to do this is we use a multi-phase approach to do this. And when I say that, the phases that we're involved in is, and the one that we're going to be talking about most today, is the feasibility phase. We like to come to the folks that we work with and say, why don't you look at some preliminary information, think about this, and make sure this is the direction you want to go. The other phases involve the development of the program itself, which is a lot of decision-making, a lot of things in terms of cost of service, level of service, rate structures, rate studies, all of that kind of thing. And then the last phase that we have is that of actual billing, setting up a billing system to bill the stormwater fee. And there's a lot of ways that we can do that. For this particular study, again, I want to emphasize it's the city of Frankfort and Franklin County. We're going to be looking at both areas, both programs. One of the key things that we're going to be doing is creating and facilitating what we call a staff technical advisory committee. And this will be key staff from both the city and the county. And we'll bring a lot of options and decisions and that sort of thing in front of them. And they'll have the opportunity to ask questions, and we'll have some papers for them to read. They'll actually have to do some homework. They'll be working very late at night, so you'll have to forgive them if they come in tired the next day. In all seriousness, we'll be doing a lot of data gathering. We're going to have to understand how you do stormwater now, how you do billing of all kinds of utilities right now, and that will help us in formulating what's the best way to move ahead with that. We're going to analyze all available financing options for stormwater activities. We'll show you what some other communities are doing. We'll show you what some other communities are doing with regard to their rates and how they handle their program. We'll determine what the city and the county is currently spending on stormwater management right now. And so we do need to do a lot of data gathering in terms of what are you doing with drainage, with flooding, with your stormwater permit, as I think you all know that we have a permit with the state for stormwater management. At the end of this, we'll look at a number of things that will look at feasibility. One of the main things is an estimate of the range of rates, both now and in the future, which you're going to be looking at. We won't be able to give you the exact rate yet, but we can give you a framework and say, we think for the revenues that you're going to have to generate in order to have the kind of program you want to have, it's going to be in this range of rates. We're looking at about a 6-month schedule for this first phase of work. And at the end of it, we'll document all that. You'll get that documentation, and then you get the ability to say go or no go to a utility, which will involve those other phases that I mentioned earlier. So that's kind of our program right now. You see our proposal and how we structured it. Much of what I talked about is contained in that proposal with even more detail. Is there any more that you need me to?
Well, at the end of that 6 months, URS will come back. There'll be a report that's generated. That report will be presented to the City Commission and Fiscal Court, whether those are separate meetings or a combined meeting. You know, we'll have to work all those issues out, but as Steve said, you know, the information will all be there. A decision can be made at that time. Do we proceed with phase 2, or do we stop at this point and throw our hands and say, no, we don't want to do this anymore? As you can see from their statement of qualifications, one of the things, well, one of the reasons that we had the two firms that rose to the top is one of our primary issues, we were looking for someone who had done this in the Commonwealth. You know, it's great to say I've done one in Ohio, I've done them in Indiana, I've done them in Tennessee, but we were really looking for somebody who knew the statutes and knew the issues associated with dealing with Kentucky Division of Water and the local folks.